it excites me to see people succeed. And that's where, it's not about money anymore. It's about, I want to see people be okay and I want to help them. I have the skills to help them. And so, I just want to spread the love, as
Yeah.
you say, right?
All right. Well, welcome to the Carla Rand Show. Welcome back to the Carla Rand Show. I'm here with Chirstine Davis. And Chirstine, I have to say, this interview, like, part of me is really excited about it because I love you and I love talking to you. But the other part of me is like, oh, this is going to be boring. We got to talk about finance, right? So I was like, I feel sort of like strained, but I know that like it's going to be good. And this is definitely an interview that I feel like I'm doing kind of for myself because I need to know more of this, but also for our listeners. Because honestly, I could think of a lot of things I'd rather talk about than finance for half an hour. but but I think it's important. It's important for me, and I think it's important for a lot of us. So, Chirstine Davis, welcome to the Carla Rand Show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Carla. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's not everybody's favorite subject by any means, but it is a subject that affects everybody. And yeah, so I'm excited to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm really like just intrigued with kind of like what I don't know about finance, I guess. So Chirstine, you own a company called EliteComSolutions and you are a personal and business financial consultant, which means you're kind of the finance jack of all trades. You can do a lot of things. You've had a lot of different experiences. And the thing with you too, Chirstine, that I love, and that's why I want to like I'm going to be meeting with you too, is just because like you're such a down to earth person. You know how to kind of break things down, make them more understandable. And I think that is what's so key, especially with things like finance, because it can get a lot of like head stuff and really uppity. And pretty soon you know, forms and paperwork and it just, a lot of people, it's just way over their heads, or at least it's way over my head. So Chirstine, tell us kind of where you grew up.
Yeah, actually, I grew up in Hazelton, BC, which is north of Prince George, about 5 hours. And yeah, and it's a nice small town. And so I got to grow up in the small town atmosphere and learn the sense of community and what it takes to, everyone works together in a community to be successful. And I was very, very lucky to go to school at a school that had a top-notch programs for finance and admin. And unfortunately, those are a lot of things that are missing from our schooling these days. And so I really have to credit my whole entire career and my success to one teacher, and that was a doctor or Mr. Chastanoff, and he really put me on the path to where I am today. Yeah, and I started out with him in an accounting program, and I loved it so much that I finished 2 years in 6 months. and he's like, "Whoa, what am I going to do with you now? Because you still have 2 years left to go in this program." And I'm like, "Well, find me something to do because I really like this stuff." So it was kind of funny. He was able to put me in with a college and fast tracked me into the first 2 years of accounting, and I just loved every minute of it. So by the time I graduated, I had 2 years of college under my belt, and I was ready to hit the road running.
Wow.
And yeah, so I had finance, throughout my whole career there. I very strong finance and administrative careers. I subsequently moved from there up to High Level, Alberta, lived up there for 13 years, and then came to Edson 11 years ago. And so those are basically my three homes in my lifetime.
Cool.
And throughout that time, I worked in many different aspects of business. I worked in government, healthcare, property management, nonprofits, forestry, and lease construction. And so I kind of got a very well-rounded background in many different industries and government, and I learned a lot. And in that time, we had started some businesses. Some were successful, some were not. I learned a lot of things through the processes of what works and what doesn't work. And yeah, and then I just kind of really through my whole career, I really became it came to my heart of the things that people don't know, and it bothered me. It's always bothered me. And that that people don't know what they can do to help themselves out of a financial situation. They don't know how to protect themselves. And many people start a business. They have fantastic, wonderful ideas, and yet they don't know how to actually execute those plans, and they don't know how to ensure that that business is successful so that it can continue. And business is hard. A lot of people start them, they don't know what they're doing, they don't know how to control and manage the money or the books or the government or the taxes. and and next thing you know, they're out of business. And so, yeah, and it just kind of went down the road to a lot of other ways. I worked in a lot of HR departments, and those, and in there, it really came to my attention that there is a real lack of um, of education for people into how to help themselves. So say you're in a employment situation, and say you find yourself pregnant. Next thing you know, your employer lets you go, or you've been an employee at a business for many years, and you're let go, and you're not aware that that company has to pay you severance. And there's so many aspects to it. Many people work for big companies, like say big forestry companies or big unionized companies that have pensions. They leave those companies and they think they get all the money. They don't. There's always a pension fund that is sitting somewhere that they don't even know about. And unless that company tells them, they're not even aware that that money is sitting there for them for their future. And so, and I see many of this happen. And one that really took to heart for me is we had a fellow working for us that had developed cancer, and it progressed rapidly, and he died, and um, and I knew that he had a life insurance policy through our company, and I had noticed that nobody had applied for that life insurance. And I was like, why? Why hasn't anybody contacted this fellow about his life insurance? I'm sure his family could use it. and, and so I took it on a personal mission to try and find him and find his family. I knew nothing about him other than his phone number. and and he was passed away. And so I started just digging in deeper. I started contacting the RCMP and asking for their help. Help me find this family because someone needs to claim this life insurance. And so a couple months after he passed away, I finally get a call from the RCMP that they had located his wife, and she was living in a car with her children, and she had lost everything. She had lost their house, they had lost everything, and she had nothing left, and she had no idea he had a life insurance policy. And so I'm like, hey, I need you to get somewhere and sign these papers because I can have $50,000 in your bank account tomorrow. And she had no idea. And so that really hit home with me, and it bothered me for years that people just don't know what they have. And um, and so yeah, so I kind of continued my career in there a little further, and I started taking business management, and have my certification in business management. And then I decided it was time to take a little step further and learn financial planning so that I can help people in all aspects of their financial life, and help them not be in that situation. I don't want to see people living in their cars, with their children. It's
Yeah.
not a nice place to be.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that's kind of where I am today. And have I kind of decided it was time to step out of the corporate world, and I know in my heart I have done made many $1 million for many companies, finding lost money that they didn't know they had. And yeah, it was just time for me to start helping the small people, and the ones that are just growing, and that really need the help. And so yeah, so I've branched into my own business now and am going solopreneur, as they call it.
But you've
And I'm kind of in a whole new field all by myself. And someone says, "What do you do? And what are your services?" And my list is 1,000 listings long. And yeah, and some days I'm like, I don't really know what I do anymore. Everything.
Well, I think what happened is because you're a Power Fitness member, so you're in our group, and I think I made a post something like, I want to support Power Fitness members first. So if you have a business or whatever, comment below and like kind of let me know about it. So I think that you had put yours in, and I remember that we've had a couple of conversations about this, Christine. In fact, I think I reached out to you 2, 3 years ago, and I was gonna maybe get you to do my books for me or something, but you were at that time. I think you were kind of swamped. You were really busy because you were working full time. I think you had some clients on the side and you were just swamped. You're like, I'm sorry, Carla, I can't help you. So I think that might have even been 4 or 5 years ago. Anyways, and so just kind of like knowing your background and kind of what you're doing and stuff. And so I was like, you know what? It's so abstract to me. Like it's really hard for me to like get it tangible so I understand what you do. So I was like, Christine, you got to get on the podcast. You got to talk about this so we can actually help the listeners to understand what they might be missing, but then also to be able to say like, hey, this is how we can help, right? So what would you say? Like, let's think of somebody that's sort of 25 years and younger. What are some things that that sort of age group would need to be aware of when it comes to just kind of like finance, planning, that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Carla, because every stage of life has different needs. And so when you're looking at the younger demographic, they are really in need um, of protecting themselves so that they can, they're in that age where they're starting to have babies, they're starting to get married, they're starting to buy a house. And they're usually in a lower income bracket. They have a lot of debt, say from student loans or that Mastercard, that evil Mastercard that they get when they're 18, and so they're starting to accumulate um, issues, and things that they need, hurdles that they need to try and get over, and they don't know how. And so or how I would help somebody in that area is, they're in a lower tax bracket, but so tax savings really isn't something that they need. So, say an RSP, which gives them a tax break on their income tax, isn't necessarily what they're looking for. They need something more like a tax-free savings account if they're going to save some money for a house or a wedding or something like that. Something that is can be liquidated so they can buy their asset. And and then of course looking at how they're, many of them at that age too, they typically don't have jobs that provide benefits. And they're starting to have children. And so that's something that really affects them a lot is they have these expenses and these children and a new family that and they have no protection for themselves. And typically older generation, your 30s or 40s, you start getting into jobs that come with that, right? But when you're first starting out in the field, that's not usually something that's provided to them. So basically, in that demographic, you want to help them try and grow. And the great thing is if they want to get protection for themselves at that age group, it's not expensive for them. It could be as simple as $20 a month, and they don't realize what $20 a month can do for them. And yeah, so you can set them up with great savings. You can set them up benefits. You can protect them from pitfalls of life, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, so they're a very unique group because you're helping to prepare them for success throughout the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and I think it's sad when people don't like they wait till they're really in a pickle. I think if you can be proactive, and I try to do this with my kids, I'm like, okay, here's the expenses that are going to come down the pipe. Here's what you're going to need: insurance. You're going to need these licenses. You're going to need all of this kind of stuff. Like, let's start planning so that you're not all of a sudden caught being like, oh darn, now I have to get out a credit card, or I can't afford my payments. Like, there's so much that can be done for this demographic, but a lot of times they have no idea. They just go by what their peers are doing. Well, what are their peers doing? Buying up, jacked up trucks and putting light bars on them and just blowing their money. And you're just like, seriously, you guys. And I think it depends on the kid too, right? Some kids just want to save, save. I have some that are just savers. They just want to save everything. And then I have some that are spenders and they want to spend everything. And I don't think either one is bad. I think spending can be good because you need to spend money to make money usually. but you also have to kind of know what to spend it on. You want to invest it, not just blow it, right? So I think there's a lot that can be learned. Okay, so what about then sort of that middle-aged group, Christine?
Yeah,
So, yeah.
the middle age group actually is a group that is they have earned a position in their careers where they're actually making good money and making their higher wages that they've made most of their life. And so at this point, you are making a huge wage. And so how you want to prepare and plan and save is very different because you're not looking for trying to save for your house. You already have your house, and but you have retirement coming around the corner. And yeah, so you want to look at different options there as well. Like say an RSP is what you would want to do then. You want to max out your RSPs at that point because you have the funds to do it, but you're also going to get the tax break to do that. And so they're in a different position of planning for themselves. And then of course you're looking at where most of them are starting to get out of their child years. They don't necessarily have children at home anymore, and so they do have this extra income that really isn't doing anything for them. And so yeah, so you want to start helping them prepare for getting ready to retire at some point, and preparing for what they want to leave to their children, how they want to plan their estate, and this is a time where your life insurances are really important to you. Your health insurance, like say for example, life insurance, right? And critical illness insurance, because you're coming to a point in your life where if you haven't been already, you're going to be diagnosed with something, some sort of serious disease. Like say there's 1 in 4 people have cancer at some point in their life. And then same thing for a very minimal amount, you can protect yourself. And I see every day, people that are going through, it all, your life changes in one instance. You don't feel good, you go to the doctor, and all of a sudden you're diagnosed with cancer, and your whole life changes. And it could be, stage 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. um, and each one has a different impact on how it's going to impact your life. But either way, you are going to need assistance. You're probably going to lose income, and it puts a huge strain on a family that doesn't need to be there. So, I like to tell people, prepare yourself for the unexpected, right? Because it's a small investment, but it's an investment in yourself and your peace of mind. And you don't want your family struggling, at the end of the day. And for example, this fellow whose wife, I'm sure he didn't want his wife and his children living in a car, and that's why he tried to protect them. And yeah, so this is an age group where you kind of are, you're definitely squeezed in the middle. You're taking care of your elderly parents, and good chances that you're also probably going to get inheritances at this point as well. And so that adds a whole nother dynamic as to what you're going to do with those funds. And, are you going to invest them? Are you going to just put them in a savings account? Are you going to go buy the boat that you've always wanted? you know? And so, yeah, so you just kind of have to manage your money a little bit differently, but you're planning for the future and also for your children's future, right? And so, yeah, so there's a lot to think about in that group. And this is also an area too where many people who have decided that they want to step out of the work world and have started their own business. And so that's also another whole avenue where they have to look into, how do they want to plan the succession of their business, and who are they going to leave it to? What do they want to do when they decide they don't want to work anymore?
Well, I know I've had a lot
Or
of people talk to me about starting their own businesses. I think, like with just a lot of the COVID stuff, I think that's going on too. A lot of people are like, "Well, enough of this. If at least if I do my own thing, maybe I can have a little more autonomy over, all of this." So I think there's definitely more people interested in that for sure that I've seen.
that's right. Yes, exactly. And we want security, and we want a little bit of control over our lives right now. And so I think it is becoming very, very important. And I've been uh, since I've kind of gone out solo and actually actively marketed myself in the last couple of months, because I'm no longer working full time for corporate. And I've been approached by so many people who have had these dreams to want to sell something that they love. And you're going to be successful if you're doing what you love, right? And yeah, and so I've had more and more people coming to me wanting to start new businesses, and it's really exciting because I can help them from the ground floor to get started correctly, and how to start their books properly, and use all the tax deductions that they can get so they're paying the least amount of taxes if they have to,
Mhm.
and keep them out of legal trouble. Yeah, because that does happen with CRA.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so yeah, it's exciting to see so many different companies all starting out on their own and people being confident in their own abilities. And I found everybody has a skill. Everybody has a sellable skill of some sort. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody has one. And whether you're really crafty, or whether you love to work with horses, or whether or whether you're a professional and you said, okay, an engineer or whatever, and you want to step out and do your own thing. So yeah, it's really exciting, but I think a lot of it is coming from people wanting control right now. They're scared of security of having a job anymore. And yeah, so I think we're going to see a lot more people being self-employed in the future.
Yeah, that
And
seems to
yeah.
be kind of where things are heading. But I think it's so true what you said. Like, if you're going to start your own business or really whatever you're going to do it right. Because, I mean, you probably see this a lot, I'm guessing, Christine, where it's like you meet with somebody and you're just, there's just a lot of disasters. Like, I think you said something like you had all these different life insurance policies and you're paying like way more money than you needed to, right? Like there's just so many things, and even just like tax-free savings account versus like different ways to like spend your money, different ways to invest your money, to just kind of like have some information about that and some guidance instead of just kind of like doing it random when you don't really know what you're doing. I know when I started my business, I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but I took a lot of courses, Christine, because I was like, I need to know what the heck I'm doing. So I started doing my own books, and that was the first hire I made. I was like, I hate this. Too many numbers. This is going to be a disaster. So I hired that out like first thing because I was like, this is a gong show. And I think like there's a lot of people that they're maybe good at business, like you said, they have good ideas, but they don't understand maybe the books, or they just don't enjoy it. So it's taking time away from what they could be doing. So to have somebody that actually understands finance, understands the best way to do it and how to save your money and how to invest your money, I mean, that's invaluable to have that.
Well, thank you. It excites me to see people succeed, and that's where it's not about money anymore. It's about, I want to see people be okay, and I want to help them, and I have the skills to help them, and so I just want to spread the love, I guess
Yeah.
you'd say, right? And yeah, and it is, it's like anything, right? Finance is not pretty. It's not fun. Most people hate it. And I love it because it's black and white. Numbers don't ever lie to you. They don't change. They are right or wrong, no matter what. And and so I personally love them. But it's like any profession that you have, any kind of professional affiliation or need that you have. Like, say you have a leak in your car, or under your sink, you're going to call a plumber. You're going to call the person who knows what to do and pay for that service, because it's going to be done right the second he leaves, right? And same thing like fitness coaching. I tell you, if you want to try and learn fitness and nutrition on your own, it's going to drive you insane, and you're probably not going to get the result you want, right? So to me, hiring a fitness coach has been the most beneficial thing I ever did. And that pays off because you get the result you want. And so it's kind of the same type of thing with finance. It's the same, a lot of people can add and they think, 1 plus 1 equals 2, but they're not. they're not getting the benefits of all the experience that comes with having someone to help them guide them through that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so and and ultimately you want to do what you know best. And yeah, and if you're trying to learn too many things, you're not going to do anything well.
It's so
Yeah,
true.
and
Yeah, so
yeah,
true.
so yeah, it's like anything, and having somebody there to help you guide through a lot of these processes can help you get over these hurdles that you just can't figure out on your own. And yeah, and it's nice to be in that position because it is it, it's a very self-satisfactory job that I have.
Well, I'm glad you
Yeah.
enjoy it because I sure as heck I'd be like running as far away from those kind of works. In fact, I took accounting in high school, and that was like the worst course I ever took. I hated every bit of it. Too many numbers, too much. Like, I was just like, no, I don't like this. And so I learned quite quickly. I'm like, well, I probably won't be an accountant, but I really value people that have those skills, especially in my business, because if I am not good at that, then I darn well better have someone that is, or I'm going to be going down fast. So, Christine, okay, so the only demographic we haven't kind of covered, I guess, would be sort of the senior group. What would you say to somebody who is sort of in their senior years, let's say 65 and up?
Yeah, actually, they're in that retirement phase, right? So they're starting to, collect their government pensions, their OAS, and all those kind of things. So, and some of those items, especially OAS, is based on how much money you make too. So if you're still working, you want to make sure that you're balancing what your income coming in, so you're not actually reducing your OAS benefits. And you can put them off for several years. Of course, you can collect them early, or you can collect them late, and you get a higher benefit. Right? The longer you can hold off to collect those government benefits, the more benefit you get. And but a lot of people that I have found have been trapped is when they're approaching the full retirement age. And so, like, say they think they've been doing the right thing all the way through, and they put hundreds of thousands of dollars into their RSP, and they're like, yes, I'm ready for retirement, and not that many people have hundreds of thousands of dollars, but there are a few out there. And but anyways, so many are reliant on that, but don't realize that at age 71, it locks in on you, and you no longer have any flexibility with what you do with that money. And so you want to do something with it fast, because all of a sudden now the government controls it, and the government will only let you take so much out. They control how much you can have of that money. So say you have this money there and it's inheritance for your children, and for the rest of your life's estate planning. But say you have now a middle-aged child that needs to buy a home, and you want to help them, give them a down payment, so you think, oh, you know what, I'm just going to take some money out of my savings and RSP and help them with this. Well, next thing you know, you're getting taxed on that big money that you're taking out. All of a sudden, you've lost all your pensions because your income has gone over the threshold. And so, yeah, and I've seen people who have made this mistake and have gone several years without any income because of it. And so there's things that you have to consider at the end of your life as well. You're at a point where you're going to be leaving your estate to your children at some point. And of course, when anything is involved in your estate, it gets, goes through probate, and it goes through taxes, and the government takes their major chunk of money out of it. But there's ways you can get around that. Again, the tax-free savings account comes into play. And I find a lot of the very elderly people, especially in the 80 plus age right now, they would have their money just in a savings account because they don't know what else to do. They don't trust the government programs, right? And so they're not making any money on that savings. It's just sitting there. And but for just a simple solution for them, they could max out their tax-free savings account, and they put their beneficiaries right on it. And so, and that's what they want ultimately. They want their children to have the money, right? Or whoever they're leaving their money to. It could be a charity, it could be anything. But by putting it in there, Upon their death, that tax-free savings account gets paid out to the beneficiaries immediately, and it is not in classified in their estate. So the government doesn't get a portion of it. It's paid straight out to the children. And so that is ultimately what they want at that age of life, right? They don't want to be paying the government a whole pile of money upon their death. And this is also a flexible solution for them too. So say they get into a position where they need to pay for, another healthcare aid or something, to help their quality of life be easier for them. That money is accessible. You can take it right out, and there's no tax implication. And so yeah, so it's it every stage is a little bit different, but everybody has things they need to know. And because you don't want to be caught with your pants down at the end of the
No.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and
that was
it's
good.
not
What
fair.
what you just shared was already helpful for me, right? Because you don't like I never really realized that because you're like, oh, like it's a long time before I'm gonna be there. But like if you prepare now, you're gonna be really well set up. And I mean, you don't always know what's gonna happen. Anything could happen. Maybe you don't make it to the age of 65 or 71, but then regardless, you need to have a plan, right? And if you already know what's coming down the pipe, you can be prepared for it. And I think that, yeah, like there's must be so many people. And I mean, Jason and I, like we've met with, financial sort of advisors, and we kind of talk to different people, and we try to make wise decisions, but there's probably still stuff we're missing. So, I'd like you to come out also and meet with the two of us too. I actually mentioned it to Jason, Christine, and he was like, yeah, totally. That would be great, because he's always trying to figure out like, what am I missing? And like, all of that. And sometimes it's just good to have somebody that's more objective that can kind of look in and be like, oh, you're missing this, or you're missing that. Or even just to say, you know what, you guys, you're set, like this, everything looks good. And then at least you feel sort of okay, at least I have that somebody else's eyes has confirmed that what I'm doing seems to be the right thing. So I think that's really, yeah, that's really good. I kind of think of it as like, because I'm a farmer, right? So like people talk about electric fences, right? And but with electric fences, you never have a peace of mind because the cows could get
Mhm.
out, the solar panel might stop working. So you never quite know. So you're always checking and you're worried. And I think sometimes you just get a good like six, well, at least a 5 wire barbed wire fence, with big posts. It's like nothing's ever going to get out of that, right? And it's that peace of mind just knowing that the animals aren't going to get out. I think it could be similar with your finances, right? Like if you don't kind of know what you're doing and you don't have things set up really good, like a good strong barbed wire fence, then you're always going to be kind of wondering, oh my goodness, is something going to happen here or something going to happen there? And you don't ever have that peace of mind. And it could be very stressful.
Yeah, that is a perfect analogy, actually, because I know I am the preventative queen about my fencing too. I do not like injured animals. I don't like chasing them down the highway. So yeah, so I over fence so I don't have to have problems in the problem
Yeah, that's
the
kind of how we
future.
are
But
too. Yeah. So, Christine, if somebody wants to go and kind of find out more about you, where would they go?
yeah, actually, right now, most of my work is being done through my website. So that's www.elitecomsolutions.com. And then I also have a Facebook profile. And again, it's called EliteCom Solutions. And I've actually been posting on there things. I want to do a monthly update on there as to just to educate people as to, did you know that this grant is coming out, for you that there's a huge energy savings grant right now that's available to everybody. And, if you need to replace the windows or the insulation or put solar power panels on, and to be energy efficient. And so there's lots of free money out there that is available, and as well as how to manage some of your finances as well. And so I have monthly updates in there. I want to try and get a little more active in there, but it seems that people have been wanting my services and I haven't had much time to market. So, but yeah, check it out. And there could be some really helpful things in there. And basically, my ultimate goal and that I want is to I want to see people sitting on the beach enjoying life and have financial freedom and peace of mind. They don't have to worry about whether the world's all crumbling down around them. They're going to be okay. And yeah, and so that's yeah, check it out, and hopefully there's something there that can help someone, and if not, give me a call. And that's the easiest way to find me, or you can email me at EliteComSolutions@hotmail.com, or give me a call, 780-728-5058. And yeah, I'll be happy to see if I can help.
Yeah, thanks, Christine. I'm looking forward to meeting with you this week. Um, because yeah, remind me too about the energy savings. Like that, this is more personal, but yeah, like our house, there's some windows. The flies are coming in, and I think there's probably something we could do there. And then you also mentioned there's something about what is it, women entrepreneurs or business women or something. There's grants that are coming up for them too. So there's a lot of stuff that we don't have a clue about because the government doesn't make this big, emergency announcement. Here's the money, go get it. They usually do it a little bit, seems like a little more subtle. So you got to kind of dig for it. So somebody like you would kind of know what, who's going to be good for that and like where do you find it and how do you access the money, right?
Exactly. That's right. There's lots of free money out there available for people, and if they know where to look. And yes, there is a huge grant coming down very soon. That's for women entrepreneurs, and whether you want to start a business or if you have a business going already. And they haven't opened it up for applications, but as soon as it does, I'll be posting and reaching out to most of the women entrepreneurs that I know, and yeah, and letting people know about it. And I can help with those grant applications. They can be horribly overwhelming,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go
and
there. Like, just no.
yeah, and so yeah, and there's lots of opportunity for help out there. Just kind of have to reach out sometimes, right? And if you feel that you're in a position that you're uncertain and you don't know what to do, and even if you've come to a health or employment crisis and something doesn't feel right, reach out and contact, because a lot of times there is something wrong and there is help out there. And yeah, and so I want to be able to help educate people to their rights and what they can get, and what is available to them from both government and also for protections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thanks so much, Christine. I really appreciated you talking about this. And I already feel just a little bit better, a little bit less, kind of like feeling like my head's spinning with all these numbers and stuff. I feel like, you know what, this is probably fairly tangible. And Christine obviously does a good job of explaining it. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. No, it's been fun, and I look forward to helping, meeting with you and seeing what kind of strong fences we can put up for you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the podcast today. I absolutely love that you joined us. I love being able to record these, and I love our guests. It's been so much fun. So thank you. Please like it, share it, comment, do all of the things that you feel like you want to do if you enjoyed this podcast. I really, really appreciate that. And this podcast has been brought to you by my company, Power Fitness Online. So everything that we do locally with our workouts, with our group nutrition coaching, and with all of the other fun events and stuff that we run, we put all of that online. So now you can access everything, even if you're not locally, don't live in our area. So my coaches and I and all my staff, the whole team, we are putting so much work into these workouts. We're filming 5 fresh workouts every single week so that you never have to do the same workout twice. We're also doing group nutrition and personal nutrition coaching so that you get exactly what you need. And you know what the best part is? It's the community. The absolute best part is just knowing that you have the support, that you have the encouragement, that you have everything you need to succeed. So go to powerfitnessonline.com.